All right, so let's get into it. How's everybody doing today? I hope you're doing well. This is Sugar. If you didn't know, I am a 20-year IT professional um, with a wide range of things to fix, things to do, new technologies. I work for a very decent company. Right now. Not going to mention who, but they're a good. They're a very corporate environment. Um, I help support them. Just some simple things that I was going to talk about today. Number one being, what's some simple things that you can do to keep your computer running um, decent, right? Like, how do I extend the use of my computer? How do I keep it running for a very long time? Uh, Number one being updates, or depending on the operating system, right? Windows, Microsoft tends to push towards the newest Windows version. A lot of that is security reasons. Mac as well, right? They're very uh, not closed environment, but they're very managed environment by Apple, hardware wise specs, especially with the new processors that Mac has put into their machines. They're very proprietary, right? um, but some simple things that you can do to, as a base user, how can I keep this machine running? um, if you're a Mac user, it's pretty much taken care of for you. You are paying that premium price for that device, so your price point on your device is going to be pretty high. Um, you can get, and this is where PC users are always like, why would I pay for a Mac when I can go for a PC? PC is half the cost of a Mac. Well, okay. But you're kind of more on a little bit more on your own, right? You can really use Microsoft and bring Microsoft in when you have problems and that kind of thing. But for the most part, yeah, they're going to and never, ever, ever, ever click on something that says, "Hey, I think you have a virus." That's not anything that is going to help you. That is going to open up a service desk bad actor scenario where you do not want to get into that, right? You do not want to ever. No, Microsoft is not going to contact you for your issues. You have to contact Microsoft for your issues, and make sure that you go to a real Microsoft site to do that. Do not click on any pop ups, do not click on anything. If you have a question about something, make sure that you go to the real manufacturer site, whether it be Lenovo, whether it be Microsoft, whether it be Dell, whether it be Acer. Make sure that you have the real website. How do I check that? You know, Usually there's going to be, uh, it's going to be at Microsoft.com or at Lenovo.com, right? Those big companies, they own those domains. So they are going to have their website there, unless their website gets hacked or something like that. But then that's usually national news of some kind of major issues that has happened, right? They got hacked and their website got hacked or whatever, and they got taken over. Um, but back to your basic needs, right? Your basic computer needs, there's going to be updates. If you're on the Brave side and you're going to go towards a Linux machine, or one of the Linux flavors would be like Ubuntu or Mint or something else, some other Linux version. I'll call it a flavor because a mint seems like a flavor to me. Um, but if you go with Linux, Linux is it's a very bare bones system. It doesn't have the running costs that a Microsoft or a Mac has. Or you could go Chrome, right? Chromebooks are an option. There's Chromebooks, there's Chromebox, BOX. um, Chrome has a very secure operating system, right? It's very limited, but it's still pretty secure. uh, with a Chromebook, you're not going to really load a lot of software. As a matter of fact, you're not going to load any software. Most of their stuff works off of either a plugin or something like that. Does that mean that a Chromebook is completely safe? No, that does not mean that. You can still go to the wrong website. You won't download anything, but you could still give the wrong information to the wrong person. Um, but back to the basics. um, Drivers are the next thing on the list. You want to keep your drivers up to date, especially if you have a gaming machine or you're doing some kind of even office work. You're going to want to keep your drivers up to date. Um, One of the main topics in that is, where do I go to get my drivers up to date? Well, like Dell has they have a program that's on most of their consumer devices. It's called Dell Command Update. Um, this will allow Dell to publish drivers through that tool, and you can install them. Another would be NVIDIA, right? NVIDIA has software that you can download to your machine that will update your GPU, graphic processing unit. If you have a gaming machine, you probably have what's called a dedicated GPU, which is a video card that's attached to your motherboard, just for your gaming, right? Just to handle the rendering of the video games that you're playing. If they're a high-end video game, you're probably going to need a high-end video card, GPU, to handle that kind of processing. When I say processing, what do I mean? Okay, so a super basic analogy of it is, think of your CPU, right? Your central processing unit, as the how fast can I get through the papers that are dropped on my desk? What's my desk? My desk is RAM, right? If I have a big desk, I can put a bunch of stuff on my desk. If I have a little desk, then I have to stack it, and I have to go through each one by one, each file one by one, right? Just think of these, kind of visualize these big stacks of files that are sitting on your desk. If I have a big desk, I can look at 4 or 5 files at the same time, no issue. If I have a little desk, then I have to stack the files and look at them one at a time. So that's your analogy between CPU and RAM. But yeah, the manufacturers will usually push out the updates to the drivers. Another place to get driver updates would be Microsoft. Once the driver or the hardware it reaches a certain age, Microsoft also has the drivers, because Microsoft, when they do their upgrades, their OS upgrade, right? There's a difference in the pronunciation there. There's upgrade and then there's update. Upgrade is they're upgrading the operating system. They're adding features to the operating system. They're adding security patches to the operating system. Not just, security patches, which are usually an update. But yeah, Microsoft is the other place to get drivers from. Because when they upgrade your operating system, they don't always have the drivers for your hardware, especially if it's brand new hardware. And even the manufacturer at some point has an issue with getting the most up-to-date drivers into their driver packs. Mac's usually pretty good, but Mac is like I said, it's a kind of a self-contained support device. Chromebook, you can get Chromebooks over different manufacturers. Lenovo has Chromebooks, Dell's have Chromebooks, Acer has Chromebooks. Those are just a few of the big names that have Chromebooks available in their sales. Um, but as the OS upgrades, there's drivers along with that. Another place to get drivers is Intel. Intel is your uh, mostly connected to your CPU, your central processing unit, and your hard drive, right? Intel has, like, I've dealt with some Dells that had an Intel chip on the hard drive. The manufacturer was in some part Intel. Well, Intel has a special driver, right? Where I would try to fix the machine because of an operating system crash. It would not see the hard drive because it did not have the driver to see the hard drive. Once I put the driver to see the hard drive on there, then it would, it would see the hard drive, and then it could repair the device. Let's see. As far as software goes that can help you fix your device, Paraform has some decent software. I'm not going to fully recommend them because they have had issues in the past with viruses that may have impacted their. And I won't even say it's probably a virus. I would say it's more of a malware issue that have impacted stuff like CC Cleaner, which is a great application. CC Cleaner is a great application. If you're ever in question of where to download software, Microsoft actually has kind of a unique system in place right now that they're trying to develop, uh, along with, it's been in Linux world for a very long time, right? Linux, I believe, is apt-get, app-get, Get. In Windows world, it's Winget, all one word, Winget. What it does is it's a command line that you have to enable. You can go to the Microsoft Store and get the Windows Package Manager. With the Windows Package Manager installed, you can open up a command line, type in Winget search, and then in parentheses, the name of the software that you're trying to get. You don't necessarily have to use parentheses around it, but it helps if you're anything that has like if you are looking for a piece of software and it has a space in the name, it can help, or just use uh, a partial part of the name of the software that you're looking for. That is an excellent place to get software and install software from, because you're not surfing the internet and hitting some kind of ad that says that is populated in your Google search because of some company pushing, what companies can do. And is Google a good search? Yes, it is a good search, but companies pay Google to show up in the top ranking of the Google search. What'll happen
On the website podium.com, they say backlinks are another pivotal factor. Google values the quality and quantity of websites linking
Google,
to yours. High
stop.
quality, authoritative
Hey,
backlinks
Google.
from reputable sources boost your credibility and
Stop. As you can see, Google is always listening. Anyways, but there are ads revenue given to Google to get their your search in a higher listing. And it's been, there's been major hacking companies that have done this, and they do it all the time. So Google search isn't always, or even truthfully, any search isn't always the best one, especially Microsoft. If you're using Bing or if you're using Google, whatever search that you're using, is not, you got to watch the results that you're getting. Whereas Winget, you're going to get the software, you're going to be able to read the software, you'll be able to look at it and say, hey, this comes from this site. So I can use this software to, this is the software I'm looking for, whether it's a VLC viewer or any of that kind of stuff. The other thing is software updates, right? Your Google Chrome, your Microsoft Edge, your Mozilla, whatever the software is that you plan on using or that you like to use, right? Because everybody has their own preferences of the software that they like to use. Um, Make sure that that's updated as well, right? Google Chrome updates usually come out on about every 2 week to a week, depending on the vulnerability found and depending on the feature that's being installed. Um, let's see what else. What else is a good thing to do? Um, Used to be that people would use what was called um, bit compression to help clean up their hard drive and help with space. That's not necessarily a tool that's used anymore, um, because with SSD. So SSD, most SSD, I believe, have about 36,000 writes to it. That means that the hard drive, SSD hard drive, can be written to about 36,000 times. You would think, well, this isn't a spinning hard drive. It doesn't have any moving parts. Why would it have a limit? Well, whether you want to be a conspiracy theorist on that or not and say, hey, well, they obviously put that in there so that you would have to buy another hard drive after a certain amount of years. Just saying, if you were that to, believe in something like that, it's a viable thing, right? If you make an indestructible device, why would anybody need to buy it again, right? You're going to get a one sale, one deal. That's it. Um, but yeah, so software, hardware, and other peripherals, right? So I get a lot of people that always ask me, why can't I install this printer? What's wrong? Why can't I install this printer? One, I don't know why you're printing still. Uh, there are certain things that need to happen, right? That people have to print, whether it's legal documents or whether it's a fax or has to be faxed over, which I don't get, right? I mean, if you digitally sign it, it's more secure than if you faxed it because a fax could be forged, whatever. Whatever your reason is for printing, whether it's pictures or whatever else. Um, Drivers for your printer, right? HP is usually pretty good. I usually stick with HP printers, but that's just a personal choice for me. They usually connect pretty well. Um, Not saying that any others are bad. You're going to get. I know there's a common saying, right? Well, why would I buy the printer cartridges when the printer itself is only a couple like $20 more, right? That's totally a thing. But there are printers that are more expensive that the print cartridges can actually be refilled. Um, so it's an option. If you're printing a lot, you're probably going to need a high end printer anyways. But a lot of the reason why those printers die out is because of drivers, right? Somebody just contacted me here recently and said, "Hey, I can't get this printer to connect. What's wrong? I don't understand. Everything looks right. It's when I go to the printer itself, it says it's connected to the Wi-Fi. It says all these, it's ready to go. When I go to my computer, it can't find it. It's because of a driver issue. Printer drivers are usually pretty easy to resolve. Just going to the manufacturer and downloading their driver management tool, whether it's Dell, whether it's HP, whether it's what's the other? Trying to think of a third. There's a third brand that's pretty popular. Can't remember at the moment, but usually going to the manufacturer, you can get a decent. They usually have decent tools that will connect to the printer. If the printer is not connectable and will not work, and you have to go to your local computer store to purchase a printer, do your research, right? Do your research online. Hey, these printer cartridges are 36 bucks a piece. Well, there's usually 3 to 4 printer cartridges, or even if they're 20 bucks a piece and there's 4 cartridges, that's a fairly good amount of money being put into cartridges, right? Are they going to all run out at the same time? Maybe not. But if you're going to replace them, you might as well replace them all because That'll just keep uh, that'll just keep you, up on your on your ink, right? Uh, let's see what else. Another common problem. Um, Monitors, connection of the monitors. That there's drivers as well for that. But most manufacturers like Dell, Sony, Dell, Samsung, Toshiba, they all have driver packs that can be installed as well. So I know I keep kind of going on to the drivers as the main ways to update your devices. And do I update my drivers a lot? No, because drivers can be broken, right? From the manufacturer can be broken. So make sure that you get a well vetted driver, right? Don't just get it right day one. If you get it day one, you better have, that's a dev environment. Most of the larger companies have a UAT, user testing time, that they're going to test those devices out. Okay. Oh, let's see. We're about down to 10 minutes, my maximum of this podcast. Um, I think this is pretty decent podcast. I think we've covered a lot for the first podcast that I've done at Sugar Skulls on the Sugar Skulls show. Look for some more content. Write me back. Send me. I've got a call in. I've got a comments. Hit me up on for some other topics that you may be interested in. Maybe I've got some insight on. Like I said, my background is I was in the Army, United States Army, for 8 years as a IT professional there. After that, a few government jobs as an IT professional. I've worked for Lockheed Martin. I've worked for um, um Rolls Royce, and a few others. And like I said, I'm working as a corporate desktop engineer now. So, any advice that you need on computers or anything else, make sure to hit me up. Hit or come back to the podcast. Um, the podcast, I believe the next episode we're going to do something on music. That's a kind of a topic that's not very well covered as far as the IT part of the music. Right? There's tons of so much stuff now that wasn't around back when I was young and into the rock and roll business and into the rock and roll scene. So we're going to cover some of the um, IT part of making a song. How do I make a song? What's an inexpensive way of making a song? What's a good tool to use to make a song? Anyways, with a few more minutes left, I'm going to say let's wrap this one up and hope to hear from you soon. And come on back. All right. This is Sugar Skulls.